Hello dear students of class 8. We are now on the third part of the story, Bepin Choudhury's Lapse of Memory, written by Satyajit Ray. You already have enough information on Satyajit Ray, the famous filmmaker of India who brought Indian films on the international level. Now we will continue with the third part. Now the third part has a few more words that I think we should all learn to pronounce properly and find out their meanings. So the first word is acquaintance. Repeat after me. Acquaintance. What's an acquaintance? It's someone you know, or a contact. You know, someone you say he's an acquaintance of mine, which means that I know him. So a person that you know is called an acquaintance. The next word is procured. Repeat after me. Procured. Procured means to find or to have, to get something for yourself. The next word is affluence. Affluence. Affluence means prosperity or richness, means someone he is an affluent person. He is quite affluent, means he is quite rich, or he has enough money. Retribution. Sorry, the N is missing there. Retribution. Retribution means to take revenge or punishment. Retribution. Excuse me. Now let's have a little bit of recap. Let's go back to the first part and then the next part also. The stranger at the bookstore who knew Bepin Babu's, there was a stranger who knew Bepin Babu's intimate details. And remember, he used to go every week, every Monday. He used to get himself 5 books to read through the week, and so every Monday he went and bought himself books in Newmarket in Calcutta. And so that man said he was a stranger and he seemed to know every details. And he said that his friends say that he went to, so his friends also say that he went to Ranchi. So he is quite confused now because he cannot remember that he ever went to Ranchi. Then the man knew his intimate details. And he said that he had a fall at Choudhury Falls. He fell down and then there was a scar on his right knee. So he went in, when he sat in the car, he finally rolled up his trousers and he saw that he really did have a scar, and that man knew about him, his intimate details, like his scar on his knee, that his wife had died, he had no children, and also that his brother had died insane, and all these things now he was quite confused. His friends also said that he went to Ranchi, and then he's feeling very, very ill, and so he consults Dr. Chanda, who advises him to go to Ranchi in order to recall the trip. So he said, maybe the only thing now to do is that you can go back to Ranchi, maybe you will remember something. It was quite a very, very strange case for him. He had never seen such a case, that only one part of his life, his memory, was missing, and so he went. And so he said, you must go to Ranchi, and maybe when that's the only thing to do now. He said, I cannot do anything else. That's what the doctor had said. So now, Bepin Babu felt, now we come to the last part of the story. Bepin Babu felt somewhat better the next morning. After breakfast, he rang up his office, gave some instructions, and then procured a first-class ticket for Ranchi for the same evening. So the same evening he got a ticket for Ranchi. He thought now that he must definitely go to Ranchi. Getting off the train at Ranchi next morning, he realized at once that he had never been there before. Now he could not remember anything. As soon as he got off the train, he knew that he had never been there before. He came out of the station, took a taxi and drove around the town for a while. So he went on around the town in a taxi for a little while. He realized that the streets and the buildings, the hotels, the bazaars, the Morabadi Hill, with none of these had he the slightest acquaintance. He did not know anything of these, neither the bazaars, nor the hotels, nor the hills, nothing. He could not remember anything. Would a trip to Choudhury Falls help? Now he thought maybe he must go to the falls, and maybe he will remember something. He's thinking, would it help? He didn't believe so. He didn't believe that it would be any good. It would do him any good to go to the falls and find out that whether he had really been there, because that man had said that he had fallen at the Choudhury Falls, and that's where he cut his knee. But at the same time, he didn't wish to leave with a feeling that he hadn't tried enough. So at the same time, he thought, well, if I don't go, then maybe later on I will think, oh, I should have gone and I should have tried, and I did not try enough. So he arranged for a car and left for Choudhury in the afternoon. So he went in the afternoon to went to Choudhury Falls. At 5 o'clock the same afternoon in Choudhury, two Gujarati gentlemen from a group of picnickers discovered Bepin Babu lying unconscious beside a boulder. Boulder means a big rock. So two Gujarati gentlemen had gone there for sightseeing, and they found Bepin Babu lying unconscious near the boulder at the Choudhury Falls. He had fallen. When he came round means when he regained consciousness. The first thing Bepin Babu said was, I am finished, there is no hope left. So said, now I am finished, I have no hope left now. Because he could not remember anything, and he got so disturbed that he fell unconscious there. And when he came back to consciousness, he just said, now I am finished. Now he thought that he is really losing his mind. Next morning, Bepin Babu was back in Calcutta. He realized that there was truly no hope for him. Now he realized, now there is no hope for me. See, all his friends had confirmed that he had been to Ranchi, and now he just could not remember anything. And he even went to Ranchi, then also he could not recall anything that he had been to Ranchi, that he had been to those places, even the Choudhury waterfalls there. He just could not remember anything, and now he's thinking that now that is the end of life for him. He is now losing his mind. So now there is no hope for him. Soon he would lose everything, his will to work, his confidence, his ability, his balance of mind. That's what he's thinking. Oh, now I'm going to lose everything in life, especially his balance of mind. And now he's losing his confidence also. He said, now I'm going to lose my confidence. And that resulted that it would be, he would lose his job. Was he going to end up in the asylum there is an asylum, mental asylum at Ranchi. So was he going to end up there? That's what he's thinking. Is that the end of me? Bepin Babu could think anymore. Now he's the end of his thinking capacity. So now I can't think anymore. Back home, he rang up Dr. Chanda. When he came back home, he rang up Dr. Chanda and asked him to come over. Then after a shower, he got into bed with an ice bag clamped on his head. So he took an ice bag and he put it on his head, and he called the doctor home. Just then the servant brought him a letter which someone had left in the letter box. So there was a letter someone had left in the letter box. The servant brought him a greenish envelope with his name in red ink on it. So it was a little bit of greenish envelope, and his name was written in red ink on the envelope. Above the name, it said urgent and confidential. So just above his name, it was written urgent and confidential. Confidential means no one should know, secret. In spite of his condition, Bepin Babu had a feeling that he ought to go through the letter. So he thought that he must go through the letter. He tore open the envelope and took out the letter. This is what it read. So he tore the envelope, he took out the letter, and what did the letter say? Dear Bepin, I had no idea that affluence could bring about the kind of change in you that it has done. It said, Bepin, I did not know that affluence. Affluence means that prosperity, that becoming rich will make you the kind of person that you are. It will change you into what you are. Was it so difficult for you to help out an old friend down on his luck? Says, was it too difficult for you to help an old friend who is down on his luck? Someone who is your old friend who has become unlucky now and he's going through a difficult time. You could not help your friend. I have no money, so my resources are limited. Said, I have no money and I can't do much. What I have is imagination. I don't have so many things, but what I have, even without having any money, I have imagination, a part of which I used in retribution of your unfeeling behavior. He said, I have used that imagination in punishing you. Retribution means in punishing you for your unfeeling behavior, uncaring behavior towards me. Well, you will be all right again now. So don't worry, you will be all right again now. A novel I've written is being considered by a publisher. Said, I have written a novel and it is being considered by a publisher. He is going to maybe publish my novel. If he likes it enough, it'll see me through the next few months. Says, well, if he likes my book enough, I'll be able to manage. Means I will have enough money that will help me for a few months, next few months. Yours, Chunnilal. Now that was Chunnilal. Remember his friend who had come to him and he said that he was the one who had dropped him at this taken him to the train, and then he was the one who had, the fan wasn't working and he had called the repairman, and so he said, I was the one who took you. I used to work for a travel agency. I got you the ticket. He had told him, and Chunnilal had wanted him to help him get a job, and Bepin Babu was so cozy in his own life that he did not really do anything for his childhood friend. And Chunnilal was so hurt, and that he was in such need, and he thought that his friend who is in a good position would help him. But Bepin Babu did not help him at all, and so that was a very sad thing for him. And this is why Chunnilal played a trick on him. He played a trick on his mind. That's why he says, I have imagination. Said, I have no money, but I have imagination, and I have used that imagination to punish you like this. So he said, well, you will be well again, don't worry. He says, I have used an imagination. So Chunnilal was the one who had told others, who had told that Parimal Ghosh, he had sent him to the book store where it all began, and they made up the story so that they would confuse Bepin Babu and tell him how important people were in their lives. And so now Bepin Babu realizes, and that he is all right. There is nothing wrong with his mind. He now realizes that Chunnilal had played a trick on him to get even with him. So that this is the real story. Actually, he had never been to Ranchi. This is why he was so, and that Chunnilal had so cleverly woven this tale, this story, and he had included his friends also in that plan to confuse him. And so that was a trick that they played on their friend, on Bepin Babu. And so and that's how then Chunnilal then writes this letter to him to tell him the truth, because now he says, I'm comfortable, I'll get enough money, but this is, you should realize that you had been very unfeeling, means you have been so callous, you have not done anything for your childhood friend. Okay, so when Dr. Chanda came, Bepin Babu said, I'm fine. It all came back as soon as I got off the train at Ranchi. So he says, well, as soon as I got off the train, I remembered at Ranchi. He's lying that because he knows that he has never been to Ranchi and that his friends had played a trick on him, especially Chunnilal had played a trick on him. A unique case, said Dr. Chanda. So Dr. Chanda said, oh, it's a unique case. Well, it actually wasn't, and there wasn't any case, but the doctor didn't really know the truth. So he said, it's a unique case. I shall certainly write about it in a medical journal. So he said, I'm going to write about it in a medical journal. It's a strange case. The reason why I sent for you, said Bepin Babu, is that I have a pain in the hip from a fall I had in Ranchi. If you could prescribe a painkiller. He said, well, I asked you to come because I had a fall. I fell in Ranchi and then I have a pain in my hip. So if you could please give me a painkiller, prescribe a painkiller. So that is the end of the story. And so the doctor ultimately ends up giving him a painkiller from a fall that he really had at Choudhury Falls. He hadn't been to Choudhury, but then finally he went to Choudhury and fell down there, fell unconscious because his mind was so worked up and he was so he panicked that now he is losing his mind, that he fell down unconscious. And that's what really happened in the end, that Chunni Lal had taught him a lesson. Well, I gave you this picture. I guess this is what Bepin Babu must have been feeling, confused, and finally when he realizes the truth that he is all right, but then what a trick Chunni Lal had played on him. Well, children, I hope that you enjoyed the story. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.